Now, let us take a look at the gameplay. The goal of the player is to progress through the level with their current objective displayed on the top right of the screen. Each level is split into several waves. The first one here is a survival wave. The player has several movement tools to avoid incoming attacks from the dwellers. First, they can jump above the enemies to avoid being surrounded. They can also dash to get out of the way of the attacks and projectiles. And finally, they can get back on the ground quickly with what we call a ground slam to regain their footing. And of course, they can make a creative use of these options by blending them together. In this next wave, the goal is to reach the checkpoint at the end of this course. We could make use of the movement features we've seen so far, but let us try something else: possession. By possessing a dweller, you essentially become this dweller, and this allows you to move quickly through the levels. Next up is the final wave of the level. The player has to clear a certain amount of dwellers. So now is a good time to introduce you to the violent mechanics. The player can slash at the enemies to stun them and reveal their weak points. Then, they can stab these weak points. This will destroy them. If a dweller's last weak point is destroyed, they are killed and removed from the battlefield with violence. After they complete a level, the player is given a persona, depending on their playstyle, as well as a recap of the level. From the look of things, it looks like this playstyle was a bit violent. This next level takes place later in the game, and we assume that the player was less violent and more lenient with the dwellers. Let us take a look at how that is possible. Maybe you noticed the bright stripe that appears when the player possesses a dweller. This can be used to link them together, which is the non-violent way of clearing them. You need to string several possessions together to create a chain. Then, to conclude the link, simply possess a dweller again. This will remove them from the level without using violence. As we've seen before, the possession mechanic can still be used to traverse great distances quickly, and the player could use it to perform this platforming sequence faster. However, since the game replayability partly relies on speedruns, we have also included a few skips if you know how to use the character controller just right. Now, let us take a look at how the gameplay mechanics strung together can be used to clear a wave if the player uses them all. can see here, the player has been more lenient with the dweller, and therefore, the persona reflects that.